Good morning and welcome to Over the Vast Nurseries. I'm David Wilson and I'm out here in this part of the nursery where we grow our ornamental grasses. Now today it's a gorgeous morning. We're in the early part of the autumn time. There's hardly a cloud in the sky. There's just a very gentle breeze blowing. It's a very nice temperature. And I have to say I'm very pleased to be able to be outside here and get an opportunity to welcome you to our YouTube channel. If you're a returning subscriber, welcome back. But if this is your first time to view one of the videos here on this channel, I'd like to suggest that you think about subscribing, because you'll find then that as we publish new videos like the one we're going to do today, they will turn up automatically in your feed and you'll be able to keep abreast of some of the exciting new plants that you're likely to find at garden centres right throughout our region. And that's the mid-Atlantic and northeastern states of the US. Varieties like this fantastic variety of a native grass. This is a Panicum, a switchgrass, one called Apache rose. Now, this is a variety that was developed by our good friends at Walter's Gardens in Michigan. It's part of the Prairie Winds collection, which has been introduced, as you see from the white pots here, by proven winners. It's a variety that really is easy to grow, reliable, very dependable, and also gives a long season of interest. It gets to about 4 foot high by about 2.5 foot wide or so. So it's fairly upright growing and columnar in its habit, which means that it's a plant that can be used either as a single plant in the middle of a bed or a border or in tight spaces, but it can also be used to line the edges of paths and driveways to kind of accentuate the shape, say, of a curving pathway. And of course, if you have the space, it would be great for planting out in mass displays too. And because these are varieties of native plants, it means that they're very good in things like cottage and meadow and prairie type gardens as well. Lots of places where you'll be able to enjoy it, and I like the fact that these are what I call see-through plants. You can have this nice airy look to the tops of the plants without kind of blocking off and making a solid screen, which is why they're also very useful as a seasonal screen too. You see, the way they grow is that in early spring, when the new growth starts, it comes out with this lovely greyish green colour. And then as they go through the summer, it grows into this columnar shaped plant. And then as we get into late summer and autumn time, that's when it produces these unusual red coloured seed heads that move so elegantly in a breeze. It's unusual for this variety to have this reddish tinted seed heads. Most of the other varieties of the switchgrasses are kind of creamy and green coloured, and this adds considerably to the plant. But also what's special about this variety is that it's nice and strong and sturdy. So if you're looking for something in your garden that's going to stand up and give that very nice, elegant effect, then this is the one that would certainly do that. And that's a point too about these panicums or switchgrasses. First, I want to mention that these are important larval hosts for things like skippers and little butterflies. And if you happen to have these growing in the garden and you go out and you see little caterpillars feeding on the leaves, that's nature doing what it's supposed to do. They're also very important for other insects, birds and small mammals too, provide valuable cover during the winter time, which makes them so special and so important in those more natural like landscapes. And the other neat thing about these two, and I kind of alluded to it when I mentioned the common name there, switchgrass, and that is that they are wonderful plants for creating sound and movement in the garden. And when you think about us growing our gardens and enjoying the outdoors, relaxing in the tranquil setting, that means that these are really terrifically valuable plants. You can't really see it today because there's hardly any wind moving. But if you were here on a day when there's a gentle breeze, you'll find them gently moving in the breeze. And that swishing sound that they create when they move in the wind is why they're called switchgrasses, and why, as human beings, these are important plants for us to have in our garden, because of the melodic sound and the tranquility that you get from watching that movement in our gardens. It's a perfect plant for putting somewhere near your home, or perhaps somewhere where you can even watch it out through the window on a breezy day, because that gentle movement that happens when you have these plants happening in your garden is what really brings, I think, our garden alive in so many ways. The neat thing about this variety, however, is that it's also very sturdy and tough, and that means that it stands up very well to summer storms. Sometimes some of the older varieties tended to grow very tall and lush and kind of flop over. They sometimes describe it as lodging. This variety is remarkably sturdy, but there's one thing, if you're going to grow it, that I would point you to, and that is just be careful about the nutrition of the plants. When we grow our plants here in these pots, we put into the compost a slow release fertilizer that continues to release the necessary nutrients over a long period. But when you take these and plant them out in your garden, and especially if you work in some organic matter into the planting hole, as you should do, of course, you'll find therefore that that is getting all the nutrition that they need. Because unlike a lot of plants that I'm telling you how to grow them, I'm saying put on fertilizer in springtime and try to get lots of nice lush growth, with these plants you really don't need to do that, because if you grow them in an average garden soil, they will be sturdier and stockier and stand up way better than if you're growing them with a lot of nutrition, because then you're going to get a lot of rank growth, which is then of course likely to flop over. So that's really how simple and easy, dependable and reliable this variety and many of the other ones that we grow are, and why you really don't need to do a whole lot of fertilizing with them. That brings me to maintenance, and that's really good too, because they don't need much maintenance. About the only thing you'll need to do is to go in after the worst of the winter has passed in early spring and really just cut off the old foliage. At that stage it's going to be a beige tan color, and you just really trim them back to probably about 4 or 5 inches, just to make way for the new growth to grow out and complete a whole new cycle again. And when it comes to finding a spot for it somewhere in your garden, that could hardly be easier too, because the amazing thing about these is that they're very adaptable to different soil conditions. Quite literally, these will grow on any type of soil, all the way through from sandy soil through to a clay-based soil. They're not worried about the acidity or alkalinity of the soil too. That's how much lime or otherwise they might have in it. And they'll grow in well-drained, gravelly, poor sites, as well as heavy, wetter sites too, which means that they can be grown either in the likes of, say, a rockery or a raised bed, or alongside ponds and streams, places like that. So there's lots of opportunity for you to be able to grow and enjoy this in your garden. And if it turns out that you don't have a garden and all you have is a patio, deck or balcony, guess what? This will grow very well in containers too. So, as I hope you can see, this really is a special plant, and one that we hope you get a chance to go along to some of our partnering garden centres to see for yourself and admire all of its beautiful qualities. This is David Wilson. Enjoy your gardening. It's good for us, and it's very good for our environment too.